can be shared with others later. So thanks for coming. Welcome to BESC 201 for the summer session. So I'm excited you're all here. There's a lot going on, and it's really great that you're here because the class moves really fast, and I want to help you kind of get up to speed very quickly because it's 5 weeks, you just don't have very much. So what we'll do is we'll just go through a course introduction, kind of explain how the course is working, some of the key places where I think students might need some reminders and help so that you can thrive in a very short period of time. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'll move that so that I can see it. Make sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay. So I believe you should be seeing a PowerPoint that says howdy. Can I have a confirmation that that's what you're seeing?
Yes, we can see the PowerPoint.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so whoa. Do you see just one slide or do you see 2 slides? Do you see 1 slide or 2 slides? Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. All right, so we're good? Everyone good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is an introduction to who I am, why I'm qualified to teach this course, what my history with it. We'll discuss the course concept and we're kind of get into the syllabus. So as an introduction, my name is Dr. Stoddard. I'm an instructional associate professor here at A&M. And I'm also the associate department head for undergraduate studies. All that means is that I have put most of my career into learning to be the best teacher that I can be. And that's how I got to be an instructional associate professor. And that's one of the reasons that I was made an associate department head for undergraduate studies and programs. It's just that I work really hard to make sure that teaching and learning is being done at a really high scale so that it meets students where they are and it helps them to succeed and learn the most they can. This is my email address, but if you're going to email me, it's usually best to do it in Canvas. It's just easier for me to keep track of emails through there. I am in the PLPM building, which is on West Campus, and my office is 322, and this is who I am. So I got to meet Reveille a couple of years ago. I'm super excited about that. All right, so why I am eligible to teach this. So just FYI, I am a graduate of A&M. So I got here, I'm a graduate 2005 and 2007. So I got my undergraduate here in BESC. So that is the program that this course is in. So I graduated out of BESC back in 2005, and I stuck around and I got my master's in water management and hydrologic science out of what is now called the water program. I was in its inaugural year, which was really cool. It's nice to see it still around. And then from there, I went off and I worked for a time. So I worked for a company called KBA. They have been bought now by a group that focuses mostly on groundwater, but it is entirely environmental consulting of many shades. And so I have work experience in the environmental field and the environmental industry. I went back to get my PhD after working for a time, and I got my PhD from the University of North Texas in Denton, and I got it in environmental science. So you'll notice that all my degrees are in environmental science. So that's one of the reasons why I'm eligible and a good fit for this class. So from there, I was, my first appointment was A&M Texarkana out in Far East Texas. I was there for 2 years. I started their environmental sciences minor, as well as I was the department head for a time. And then after that, I was recruited to come back here. So I've been here since 2015 and been working in the BESC program and super excited about it. I really enjoy teaching in this program. So there's a little bit about me. So I like to run and cycle. I've done an Ironman, a couple halves, a couple marathons, and I have a life outside, and which means that I also recognize that you have lives outside. So all that's to say that I usually answer emails within the week. That's probably the best way to email me. But if you're emailing me over the weekend, I'm not as responsive because I think everyone should have a life outside of work, and you all should have lives as well. So If you're going to email me on the weekends, Saturday is the best way to do it. I'm not as responsive on Sundays. And if it's not an emergency, it may just wait until Monday. And I also set up my course so that you shouldn't have to email me on over the weekend for an important thing. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 people. So we're going to do, I like to break this up so that I'm not the only one talking. So we're going to meet someone new. So what's going to happen is I'm going to break you up into 2 breakout sessions, breakout rooms, and you're going to meet someone new. So you're going to get up, you're going to stretch, and in your breakout room, you're going to exchange the following with the person that you're in there with. So my name is, show your name and what you enjoy, and repeat back what you hear from your new person. So, oh, well, you know what? We have such a small group. We might just have to do this together. So if you're all right with that, since there's only 3 of us, how about we just go ahead and do that? So who would like to start? Sarah, you want to start? You want to share your name and your hobbies?
Yes. My name is Sarah, and I like to bake and play tennis.
Okay. All right, Sarah. It's very nice to meet you. All right. Arisha, would you like to go next?
Hi, my name's Arsha. I enjoy playing volleyball, and I also enjoy baking.
All right, and Benjamin.
Howdy, my name is Benjamin. I like cooking and I enjoy like playing music.
Okay, what kind of music do you play?
A little bit of everything sometimes. Mainly recently just guitar, so
Okay.
nothing specific.
All right, so we've got 2 bakers, a chef, a cook, and musician, and also sports playing in here. Madeline, if you're with us, we are introducing ourselves and sharing something that's one of our hobbies or interests. Okay, maybe you're not quite there with us. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, so I like to make it perfectly clear that I have spent a lot of time developing myself as an instructor. And one of the ways that I did this is I went through a program that was sponsored by the Association of Colleges and University Educators and the American Council on Education. And I got a certification. So I have a certification in effective college instruction, and it took some effort. So this, I signed up for this in early 2019, and you might do the math and figure out what was going on then. And by the time the program rolled around, everything was online. We were all virtual. It was in the heat of the pandemic when people were working from home. I had kids at home. So I was doing this program on nights and weekends. And it required me to watch videos about effective instruction, how to support students, how to use active learning in the classroom, online, how to use active learning online, how to promote higher order thinking, and promoting better instruction and better learning. So I have this certificate, and the other reason I like to share that with you is that everything that I have in the course is designed that way for a very particular reason. Everything is mapped back to the course learning outcomes, and I do it to enhance your learning the best that we can. You might have noticed if you looked over the syllabus, there is something in this that's not in this class that's in a lot of classes. Did anyone catch what that is? What's not in this class?
There's no tests.
There's no tests. Okay, so I got rid of tests right around the pandemic. One reason was all my classes were online. And a little known fact, I've crashed an LMS before because I put too many, like a lot of students ended up online taking an exam. But the other reason is that, the other reason is that I don't really feel that it is all that effective means of measuring your learning, because a lot of times students will cram for an exam and then they'll forget the stuff a week later or not remember it the next year or the next semester. So I try to do more effective teaching and learning strategies And that's what I fall back to, and that's what I implement in this class. So, all right, so you should know that this is a core curriculum class. I need you to know that. I don't need you to read all, I'm not going to read all this to you, but the key things that you need to know is you're in a core curriculum class. You probably already realize that it'll meet your core curriculum objectives or your core curriculum requirements, but that also means that we have to have critical thinking, communication, empirical and quantitative skills, and teamwork. So when you ask me, why is there a team project in a 5-week course? It's because you're in a core curriculum course. It's possible, we can make it happen. It's just, you just have to make the commitment to do it. And all of these core curriculum learning objectives are tied to or mapped back to our course curriculum or our student learning objectives for the course, which you'll find in the syllabus. And again, it's a lot of text. I encourage you to read it, but I do want you to notice the numbers that are associated with it at the ends of the words or the ends of the phrases, because it shows you that I have scaffolded everything. I know why we're doing certain activities, what they tie back to in terms of what the goals are for you to learn in this class, and how that relates to your core curriculum objectives. All right, this is the textbook. There are the one on the right with the funny looking trees. That one is the 7th edition. You could also technically use the 6th. I have information in the syllabus about how you can buy the textbook. I think the cheapest way is to rent it online. And I think that discount code is still active, so I encourage you to look at that. I will also post, I'm pretty sure I have the first 5 chapters as a PDF. So, but you are going to need it. You need the textbook, so make sure that you get it. Here's the breakdown of the courses, the points in the course. So there are 15 reading and mini lecture quizzes. So this is, you read a chapter and you watch the mini lectures that go with it, and you take a reading quiz. There's pack discussions. There's 5 of those. So we'll talk about those in a minute. There's an ecological footprint mini project that has 3 things you'll turn in, but something that you will do throughout the semester is associated with it. There's 2 worldview reflections, and those are relatively short essays, and there's a team project. I know it's a lot, it's a 5-week course. I've honestly trimmed it down quite a bit. And I do so every time I reteach it to try to make it run smoother in the 5 weeks that we have. But you are going to commit, you just have to commit to work. And I recommend doing something multiple days a week. Don't try to do all this in one day. That will be very, very challenging and will probably lead to burnout. All right, so the reading quizzes, there are 15, you will complete 15. So, oh, that should be updated. That is 20 points per quiz. Let's fix that real quick. That is 20 points. 20. Pretty sure it's 20. It is 20. Okay, there we go. 20. It is 20 points per quiz. In this first week, you will have 3 quizzes. So there's chapters 1, 2, and 3. Every week after that, there's going to be more reading chapters than 3 assigned, but the point is that in that block, so in week 2, you get to pick the 3 that you want to read and the 3 quizzes that you want to take. So it's your choice. You just get to decide which ones you're going to do. So it's kind of choose your own adventure in a way. So reading quizzes open on Mondays at 8 a.m. and they're due the following Monday at 2 p.m. And that's a difference in my course. I run things from Monday to Monday. And the reason being is I don't want you needing to email me on Sunday nights because I'm not going to be available. I'm not available at 11:59. I'm not available at 11 o'clock. I'm usually fast asleep at that point. So I don't want you to need me for a turn-in date. I don't want you to need a response to do something. So that's why we do it Mondays at 2 p.m. It also gives you more time. It's a nice schedule that gives you more flexibility. Just do not wait until Monday morning at the end of the week to do something. For this first week, I extended the due dates for the reading quizzes until Tuesday because we only started on Thursday. And I don't know why that happened, why they decided to start the semester on Thursday, but it felt crunched even for a 5-week course. So I extended the due date for the reading quizzes until Tuesday. Just keep in mind when you do that, it just crunches everything up. So if you need it, take it, but make sure that you stay on top of the work. So weeks 2 through 5, we'll close, the reading quizzes close for submission on every week after the first week on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. So everything's due on Monday at 2 p.m., but you have until Tuesday. It will stay open until Tuesday if you need an extension. We'll talk about extensions in a minute. So answers are available the following Thursday. So it's due on Monday, closes on Tuesday. Answers are available on Thursday. You absolutely must master the syllabus quiz and get a 90% on the academic honesty quiz before you can take any reading quiz. There's no due dates on those syllabus quiz and the academic honesty quiz. There's no due date, but you can't move on and do reading quizzes until you do that. The reason this exists, the reason the syllabus quiz and the academic honesty quiz exists is really to help you, because I need to know that you know what you signed up for in terms of this class, what's due, when it's due, what are the key points. I need to know that you know that. And so that's the syllabus quiz. You read the syllabus, you take the quiz, you master it, great. The academic honesty quiz exists because academic honesty is held to is very serious at Texas A&M. And you want it that way because that means your ring and your degree means something. If everyone cheated to get to their degree, your rings and your diplomas wouldn't mean much. And so academic honesty is taken very, very seriously. But I think that there's not much instruction provided and that you're held to a standard that sometimes you might not even know what it is. And so I created the academic honesty quiz so that students had the opportunity to really learn what this standard is and how they're held accountable to it, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what counts as plagiarism, what counts as cheating or multiple submissions. And it's ultimately to help you, because if you commit academic honesty, whether you do it on purpose or on accident, it has to be reported. And then there's a whole process that starts. And I really don't want you to have to go through that. And I don't want to have to go through it. It's just not fun. And it's a learning experience, but if we can avoid it, let's avoid it. So I want you to know what the standard you're held accountable to so that you know what to do and what not to do. All right, methods of evaluation. There we will be using Packback questions for discussions. It's an online community that encourages you to ask open-ended questions that build on what we're talking about in class. Because we don't have exams, we have to dive into the material some way. And this is the best way that I have found, especially for this 5-week course, for you really to ask questions, engage with the content, engage with your colleagues or your peers, and ask questions and start going back and forth about, like, okay, where do we take this next step? How does this idea apply in this situation? So we'll be doing 5 Packback discussions. They will be due on Mondays. And to receive full credit, you need to do a few things. So for each Packback discussion, you will ask 2 questions. Those need to be 2 separate submissions, 2 separate questions. When you go to ask when you sign in, there's a red button at the top that says ask a question. You need to click that button, write your question in the top part, provide the explanation in the body of it. Follow the text because there's AI generated feedback that really helps you to write a well-formulated question that will give you a high curiosity score. So follow that feedback and submit it. Then you need to do that again for another question. And so as you read your chapters, just think about what questions you have. What do you want to explore further? And that's what you can do with your Packback. So you need a minimum curiosity score of 50. And as you get into it, you'll see what that looks like. But really, they're going to coach you. The system coaches you to get you the highest score. So it's providing an explanation, putting in media, giving a link to a reference. All of those things boost your curiosity score. And really what that means is it shows that you're really thinking, you're thinking critically, you're writing things clearly. All of that's coming along. In addition to writing those 2 questions, you need to respond to 4 questions or need to have 4 responses. So let's say Benjamin and Madeline each write a question. And so then let's see who we have. We have Benjamin, Arsha, Sarah, and Madeline. So I would need to respond, like maybe I could respond to each one of you and then presumably one other person. So point being is that you're engaging with your colleagues and you're talking with them about their concepts. And it's not just, oh, that's a good idea. You need to take it a little bit further. Oh, that's a good idea. Will get you a very low curiosity score. But you will be coached on how to write an engaging response that really kind of pushes the discussion forward. I will say that you will get half credit if your responses don't meet that minimum curiosity score. And that is also really helpful at the beginning as you're learning the system. Okay, so we're going to learn more about each other. So get up, stretch, and let's go around and share what we're most excited about this semester. So in my order, I've got Benjamin, Arsha, Sarah, and Madeline. So Benjamin, what are you most excited about this semester?
I'm not really sure.
Okay. What are you excited about in the month of July?
In the month of July, I guess I'm kind of just happy to be back because I studied abroad the first half of summer. So I'm
Okay.
happy to be back in,
Where did you go?
I was in France.
In France. Okay. I went to Ireland this summer. What did you think of the weather?
Well, they had talked up the weather. They're like, where we're staying, it never rains. It's the beautiful, like the most beautiful weather. But then like the first 2 to 3 weeks we were there, it rained every day.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. Definitely better than Texas.
Still, you got to go to France. That's pretty amazing. Okay. Arsha, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think, well, I've honestly never had a class at A&M where we didn't have exams. So I guess I'm sort of excited for that aspect of the course.
It's not common. Yeah. Okay, good. Sarah.
Grants the first summer session. But I am also excited that there are no tests, which is really nice.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. I did used to have exams in this class, and it's a bit of a beating because it was an exam at the end of every week. So you read 3 to 5 chapters and then took an exam. And I don't really know that means that you learned more. It just means that some people are better at cramming than others. So, all right, Madeline, what are you excited about this semester or have been excited about this summer?
I would also say the no tests because I feel like that takes a ton of stress off of it.
Okay. I'm glad. Okay. I'm glad that is a popular thing for you. And that was the idea. Like 5-week course is stressful enough. So, but learning should be challenging. You will be stretched and learn. You'll be stretched as you learn. But it should also, I think that just I've had a mixed relationship with exams. So, all right. So PackBack, you're going to need to register for this. So you can only access PackBack. Please only access PackBack through Canvas. This will ensure that your grades properly sync. So don't go to packback.com. Actually, it would be PackBack. Yeah, don't go to packback.com. That will actually not take you to the right place. So it's even easier. But you need to access it through Canvas. You should have received an invitation, but you can also click the PackBack icon in Canvas and follow the instructions. I've posted their help in the syllabus. It's also here. You can also, I think that they have like an online chat feature. The other thing that I'll mention for you and everyone else that's watching this is that I'm really, really aware of the expenses that students have. I was a student for 10 plus years and I took on some debt to make that happen. And I'm really, really aware of that. That's why I'm very careful about what I select for my course requirements in terms of that. But if you are financially, if you're going through a financial hardship and you're having to make a decision between rent or food and this, then absolutely please reach out to me and I can put you in touch with PackBack and something can be worked out. So no one should have to have a huge stress on them about paying for this $29 PackBack service. So please absolutely reach out to me if that is your situation. All right, so we're going to do an ecological footprint mini project. And I say mini project because it's really kind of small. And a lot of people enjoy doing it. And it's kind of a fun way to do, like, think about data and think about the environment and kind of just put yourself in it. Because I think learning also works best when it's immersive, kind of like Benjamin, I don't know if you were studying like French while you were there, but more than likely you spoke like if you're in something, if you're in a culture, if you're in a new language, like the more that you're in it, the more that you learn. Like, so with this, you're going to calculate your ecological footprint using a calculator that I have a link to. And then you're going to interpret those results. You're going to submit that and create a plan for collecting data this summer. You need to pick something that you can measure reliably over the course of the semester. And that reliability needs to be like something that's comparable from one time to the next. So for example, like if I were to measure the number of minutes that I showered, I could compare that from one day to the next. Miles that are driven, things that impact your ecological footprint. One of the things that I've seen presented before by a student, which I could see why they were interested in it, but it just doesn't work for this, was the number of trash bags that they filled. So the problem with that was, especially if you live with roommates, you don't have a whole lot of control of how full is the bag, unless you're measuring your trash, like how much it weighs. That's the only way that you could really make that work. So it needs to be comparable, and you need to be able to work with that data and analyze it at the end and know that like each measurement or each allotment of your data or each increment of your data can be comparable to the next. We're going to have part 1 that will be due at the end of this week. You will have one ecological footprint update, which is when you just kind of show me your data, remind me what you're doing, like what you're capturing, what data you're capturing, and it's also just a reminder to you that this is happening and that you need to collect data. And then part 2, you're going to recalculate your footprint. You can compare your results from before and after. You don't have to improve your footprint. That's not the objective here. But you're also going to create a graph of your personal data. You're going to analyze it, and then you're going to reflect on the process. So all in all, this really doesn't take that much time, but I think it has a lot of deep learning because you're working with data, you're working with your data, you're thinking about your ecological footprint. It's a very popular assignment. Okay. Another thing that we're going to do is a worldview essay. And when I say essay, I just mean that you're writing some. It's not extensive. You're basically writing 2 paragraphs. And so you'll write 2 worldview essays. The first one will be worth 70 points. The second one will be worth 80. And it will be assessed in Perceptive, which is a different learning tool. You do not have to pay for it. You access Perceptive through Canvas. The reason that we do this is your worldview, the way that you see something, influences your thoughts, your practices, and your actions. So, and the other thing is that as you go out into the world after you leave A&M, you're going to work with people. Whatever it is that you do, you will work with people that are likely different than you, and they see the world differently than you. And in order for us to solve any problems in the world, whether they be environmental or otherwise, we have to be able to talk with people that think differently than us, possibly understand where they're coming from, and find how can we find that common ground or understanding of each other so that we can move forward to solve a problem together. So I like this assignment because it helps you, one, think critically about your own worldview. What is it that you believe and why do you believe that? But it also exposes you to other people's worldview. And not only do you get to see what someone else believes about something, but you get to see the reason why they believe it. And that can be a lot easier to understand someone that thinks differently from you if you can understand why they think differently than you. So we're going to do this. We'll do it twice. And with this assignment, you will submit an essay. And that essay, there's a template. I tell you exactly what to write. I tell you exactly how much to write. And it's really not that much. I think it's like a total of 12 sentences. So you'll write, the first part is, what is your worldview? So I will give you multiple prompts to choose from. You just pick one. It's an environmental prompt. So I give you a scenario and I give you some background and I give you questions to answer. So for example, one of them is about China's former one-child policy. And so I give you some background on that. And then I ask you, what is your worldview about governments putting limitations on family sizes? Or what is your worldview about government interacting with population control? And then you have to explain what your worldview is using course terms. So you will highlight course terms, which you find in the glossary of the textbook. You highlight them, you define them in your writing as you explain what your worldview is. I need to make it perfectly clear. You're not being graded on what your worldview is. You're being graded on whether or not you can explain your worldview using course concepts. I'm not looking for specific worldviews. I'm looking for you to be authentic about what it is that you really think. And you're not being judged. There is no bad or good. It is just, can you explain yourself using course terms? So that's part of critical thinking. The second paragraph is where most people get hung up. So it's 1231. So I'm just going to note this because everyone needs to probably reference this section. The second paragraph is probably where most people get hung up, because in the second paragraph, I'm going to ask you to explain how you formed your worldview. And very oftentimes people start re-explaining their worldview. Please don't do this. You will not get full credit if you do that. So for example, if I asked you a question, if I asked you to explain your worldview about biodiversity, like I give you a prompt about biodiversity, and because there's three different general worldviews. There's an anthropocentric worldview, there's an ecocentric worldview, and there's a biocentric worldview. So an anthropocentric worldview, not that you have to use these terms, but views everything for the favor and the benefit of man or humankind. And so from that, I might explain that I value the biodiversity that is around my home in terms of the trees and the woodlands, because that adds property value to my house, and I enjoy the aesthetics as a human of what those trees bring to me. And I also feel I breathe better because I have trees around me. All of that is me explaining why biodiversity matters to me. That's me explaining. Now, if I were to explain how I formed that worldview, now I need to explain what part of my history, what part of my education, what part of my past experiences has brought me to that point. How have I come to this? Good places to start are, I've learned something from this class, from a class. It doesn't have to be this class. My parents brought me up this way. I was raised this way. My religion teaches me XYZ. I've read these books. I've watched this documentary. All that's great starts, but you have got to elaborate. It can't just be my parents taught me this. It must be like an elaboration. So for example, my parents had a garden growing up, and we would all work together to grow the vegetables. And my parents showed me the value of life because we would talk about the worms and I would pick them up. And we made sure that, we used natural pest control because we valued everything, that we wanted to make sure that birds could come in and all of those things. So you have to explain how you formed your worldview by explaining your past experiences. And that can be the hard part. You should always read your first paragraph and your second paragraph multiple times. And as you read that second paragraph, ask yourself, are you re-explaining your worldview? Am I explaining what my worldview is in that second paragraph, or how I formed it? And if you're explaining what your worldview is, then you're not on target. You need to change that. The other thing about this is, please, this is not about attacking someone else's worldview or a generally understood worldview. It's explaining what your worldview is and how you formed it. So that is usually a source of confusion. Does anyone have questions while we are on that topic? No questions. Okay. What I'm going to do real quick is pull up an example template so that you can see, and we can really talk about this now, because I see so little of you and it's hard to come back later. Spring. So let's find a template. So here is an example template. I'm not saying that this is going to be yours. I might have to adjust it because this is set up for the spring semester. But for example, I give you notes about you need to select one topic. Do not put your name on your worldview. You delete the things in brackets. Okay. So here's one example. Carrying capacity worldview. Explain your worldview. Global human population is now over 7 billion. We've raised the carrying capacity for humans. I give you references to the textbook so you can look at that. And then I tell you to explain your worldview. Do you think humans can continue to raise our carrying capacity? If so, how? If not, why? Do you think Earth's future carrying capacity for humans might decrease? Why or why not? You must integrate and define 3 course terms. You find the course terms by looking in the glossary of the textbook. They're also bolded when you read the textbook. So you will remove what's underlined here. So you take this bracket right here. So this is, you take the brackets off and you explain what your worldview is, highlight your course terms and write 6 sentences. And then the next part is remove this and reflect. So provide specific details for how you formed your worldview. And this is where you need to like explain how you formed your worldview. I also give you examples in Canvas, so there's that is available for you as well. So I recommend before we get to the worldview that you read or you review the resources in Canvas for that. Okay, so we'll move on. So another thing that we have, because we're a core curriculum course, is we have a team project. So the team project is set up so that only, let's see, what is that? So 48% come from the thing that the group creates itself. And the other, let's see, 63% of the points come from things that you do as an individual towards your team project. The reason I have this way is because I value the process of teamwork. And I think that's really why teamwork is included as a core curriculum. It's not necessarily all about the end product. The end product is great, but it's about the process. And so you're going to do multiple things as we go along the way. That also means that you can't postpone this that get you towards this goal. So there's multiple things, this team project acknowledgement and commitment. It's really not that much. You just need to read the project overview module and you'll take this. There'll be roles and contract that you'll fill out. You'll do a team progress survey. There's an individual accountability assignment, and that's worth 50 points. So this is you showing me that you've shown up for your team and you know your topic well, and that you've written about it, you found images about it, you know how to do in-text citation. So make sure that you do that. You'll submit the team project, and then there will be 2 different types of evaluations. You'll evaluate your teammates individually, and this will be anonymous. They won't ever know what you have to say, but please do it honestly so that we can have accurate data. And then you also evaluate yourself. And just for doing the self-evaluation, you could just get 20 points. It's even if you evaluate yourself and said, I really could have done better, as long as you're honest and like answer the questions, you get the 20 points. Then there's an overall project participation. So you get 25 points of the overall 250 are from your overall participation, which is determined by this teammate evaluation. So all that data that I get from the teammate evaluation fills into this. And so if you get 100% of those points, then you get 100% of your team project grade. If you get 50% of those points because you didn't show up and your teammates told me that you only did half the work, then you only get half of the team project points up here, these 100 points. So it does matter. I also know that you all have busy lives. I get it. This is a 5-week course. It's tough. Some of you are trying to manage a lot. I have a colleague that is now, he's very successful academic. He got his PhD. And he told me that when he was going through his undergraduate, he was working 2 jobs, so 20 hours a week for both jobs and taking classes. And his whole goal was just to graduate. And so he had this low stress policy for himself. And so he just decided that like his goal was to graduate, and he might not graduate with A's or B's, but he wanted to graduate. And he went on to be very successful. And so we have a low stress GPA policy. So if you know that this is just not going to work for you and you just can't commit to the work that is required for this team project, let's just admit it to ourselves now and not avoid the hard feelings that are going to happen if you just don't show up for a team, and sign up for the low stress policy. So you can opt out of the team project, which means you opt out of all of those 250 points. There's no shame associated with this. It's just recognizing something that may happen anyway. So let's just acknowledge it from the beginning. You can't use extra credit to get past that, to make up that though, because it is a key component of the course. And if you want to do this, you need to follow the team project acknowledgement and commitment survey. So, all right. So in a nutshell, we have concept mastery and chapter content that will be assessed through reading quizzes. The thing about your reading quizzes also is you have unlimited attempts. So take them as many times as you want to get the grade that you want before they're due. You have weekly activities for concept mastery and critical thinking. You'll read your chapters. You'll watch mini lectures that are associated with those chapters, which are designed to be smaller and more bite-sized. Take notes, and then you do your pack-back questions. So 2 questions per week, 4 responses per week. All right, so how we break this down into the course, the core curriculum learning objectives, we'll do critical thinking and communication through our worldview essays and the ecological footprint project. Empirical and quantitative skills come through the footprint project. Teamwork is from the team project, and course mastery comes from the reading quizzes and discussions. I'll stop there and see if there are any questions. Questions? Okay, move on. All right. In this course, everyone has a voice, and you'll see that in Packback. Everyone has something valuable to contribute. So please take care to be respectful of different experiences and different beliefs and values, because you are probably going to see that, especially in the worldviews and probably in the Packback questions. I support A&M's commitment to diversity and all of the things. Like, everyone has value, everyone is welcome here, and I want to make sure everyone feels like they're part of the academic community, and their ideas, like their thoughts and whatnot. You're all welcome here. So how you can help. So let me know if you have a preferred name and or pronouns. If you feel your academic performance is being adversely affected by experiences outside of class, it's very important that you tell me. Because I can't do anything in week 5, but if you are having a problem, let me know as soon as you can. I am an Aggie ally, but I don't claim to be perfect. If something has happened outside of class, or if something has happened in the learning community, something was said, please, if you're comfortable, let me know so that we can try to address it. I'm trying to incorporate scholars from diversity and backgrounds so that we have a wide range of views and perspectives. If you have suggestions for authors or scientists or experts that represent a diversity of materials, then please let me know. And if you have other ideas on how we can foster a supportive environment, let me know. All right, and Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal. Remember that there's the academic honesty code. If you violate the academic honesty code, you are going to be reported. I need you to know that it's actually required that every faculty member report someone. I can't just let it slide, because if I let it slide, then there's no telling how many times it would happen. So just know that it's taken very seriously. If you have a recognized disability, then please talk with me if you have like accommodations. I will honestly tell you, I've designed this course to be what's called universal design, which means that it's designed so that everyone has everything that they need. So hopefully that means that very little accommodation actually needs to happen. But I can absolutely do that to meet anyone's accommodation letters. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's break it up a little bit and share one interesting fact about ourselves. So Sarah, would you like to share an interesting fact about yourself? Madeline, would you like to share an interesting fact about yourself?
I have a cat,
You have a cat. What's your cat's name?
Aspen.
Aspen. Okay, what color is your cat?
She's a tortico, so she's calico like on her face and part of her leg, and the rest of her is tortoiseshell.
Fun. All right. Let's see. Arsha, how about you?
I guess going along with that theme, my roommates and I, we fostered a dog last semester. His name was Cupid. He was from the Aggie Humane Society. So that was a very fun experience.
Good. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Benjamin, is there a fact you want to share?
I guess right before I came to college, I like got into woodworking.
Did you?
Yeah.
What kind of woodworking do you do?
Well, I had made like a step stool for my grandmother, like a workbench table.
Do you do
cutting-
joints?
Do I do what?
Do you do joints?
Joints. I'm not. I try. Okay, I try.
Yeah, it's complicated. My husband does woodworking. That's the only reason I know. Have you ever
Yeah.
tried turning?
No, I wanted a lathe. I have made like pins and things like that before, but I don't own a lathe myself, so I haven't got to do more than just like small pins.
I think there's a woodworking shop in Houston that does workshops like on Saturdays and whatnot, and you can go like do like a wood turning or other workshop. So
Is it Rockler?
I don't think that's it.
Okay.
I'll find the name. I'll find
Okay.
out the name and I'll let you know. I'll write that down. That's fun. Okay, all right, moving on. Unless Sarah, are you with us? Is there something you wanted to share?
Oh, yes, sorry. I guess that earlier I like baking. I do like cake decorating stuff, like the fondant work and stuff like that.
Fun. Fun. I like that. My secret pleasure, I could watch this anytime, is the Great British Baking Show. I just love it. All right, so communication. So here's my email address, but Canvas is honestly the best way to reach me. When you address me, it is Dr. Stoddard. I went to school for a very long time and I'm almost done paying off my debt. So if the address is appreciated, but Howdy is also fine. So just if you email me outside of Canvas, it's very, very important that you put the BESC 201 in the subject line. It helps me to not things get lost. I do my best to respond in 24 hours. What's not listed on here, which is really helpful for you to know, is if you email me and I don't email you back in 24 hours, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I promise. I just have an excessive amount of emails, especially oddly enough in the summer. And it's just somehow gotten buried. It's not that you're not important. It's not that your question isn't important. It's just, I'm just doing my best. So please just re-email me and remind me of this, that you had emailed me, and I will get it taken care of. So just do me that one favor. All right, so another popular program or policy I have in this class is my late work policy. So I am very interested in educating you as a whole student. You have a life outside of class. I get it. Everyone should, and I encourage that. So it would be best if all assignments were turned in on time, but sometimes things happen. A cat gets sick, a dog gets sick, you were delayed on a flight, or I don't know, something happens. So I have the contingent 24-hour policy. It's the NQAP. You can use it up to 2 times. And this policy covers all assignments in one day. So let's say, you know, everything's, let's say you got due dates on Monday at 2 p.m. You went to Dallas and you got a flat tire and you couldn't get home and you were dealing with all of that and you just couldn't get to your assignments. Great. You don't have to email me to use this policy. You just go to the homepage of text of our Canvas course. You find the link for the form and you go fill it out. And you put the date that you want, the date of the assignments that are due that you need an extension on. And you automatically get 24 hours. You don't have to ask me for it. It's just a given. So just fill it out and you can do it up to 2 times. The exception is the final team project because there's other people involved. That's a little tricky to do. If that is a situation, just talk to me and let me know what's going on. The pack-back discussions, that one is also very tricky for me to deal with. So the way that I'm working around this is you need to know that everything is officially due. The pack-back discussions and questions are due on Monday at 2 p.m. But it will technically be open until Tuesday at 2 p.m. to account for anyone that needs to use this policy. But that doesn't mean that you can use the policy and turn it in on Wednesday. Tuesday, it will shut down. It will close. If you have an extenuating circumstance or like an excused absence, The NQAP doesn't apply for excused absence. However, I do ask that you fill out the NQAP, and just at the bottom, you tell me you have an excused absence, and then you email me the form. The reason being is it's much easier to keep track of extensions if everything is in one spreadsheet for me. Otherwise, I will get emails lost. So if you have an excused absence, say you get sick and you can't turn things in on a due date, then fill out the NQAP, write the appropriate thing in the form, and send me the doctor's note or whatever. Okay. All right. Questions. What questions do we have about the course? No questions? Okay. Do you need to buy Perceptive?
No.
Correct. You don't need to buy Perceptive. Okay. I will tell you that Packback, normally you can, there's a button to include media on your, like, upload a picture, but that button's not working right now. It's not even visible at the moment. It should, I'm hoping it gets fixed, because I was wanting to put pictures in my post. So just know that maybe that might be coming. So, well, if you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to go. That's all I have for you today. Thank you all for coming, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all in the course, getting to know you through our Packback discussions, and know that I'm here to answer questions and help as we go along. But you do have to commit to do the work, and I recommend that you do work multiple times a week, because this can pile up really, really fast. So just be careful. Don't let things pile up on you, and move along in the course. All right. You all have a great day, and I will see you in the course. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Mhm.